What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 18 of The Race, here with Kingston Sprint, and today we are back for an end-of-season live com, and it's going to be the JFF Champions Cup to wrap up this Season 2, the year 2018, and well, it's been, I want to say it's been a good year, but it kind of just feels like it's been a sideways year. Of course, it's worth mentioning, we are still in the North American Champions League. We are going to be going into the knockout stages of that, which is going to be coming your way kind of next season, just because of the way it kind of relates to the North American Champions League as and the MLS season, of course. They're kind of offset. So I guess that's been good, but really when I look back at the MLS season, I'm going to look back at it as a season where we should have done so much better. You know, you kind of look at how we got on. We drew 14 games this year. We lost the joint fewest, in fact, second fewest. Dallas only lost 7. But we kind of lost very few games. The issue we had was we just enjoyed drawing. And unfortunately, for the second year in a row, we succumbed to our rivals in Toronto. So to end the year, we're going to try and take on Montego Bay. They are a decent side, Montego Bay. Definitely not a team to be kind of underestimated, not by any means. And if we just have a quick look here, did we get knocked out to them last year? Yeah, we did. We got knocked out to them on penalties last year in this tournament in the final. So I want some retribution here. And if we just look at Montego Bay, they're quite a good side. You know, they're not too bad by any means. And of course, Jamaican football as a whole is doing pretty well, really, because in the if we just go to the North American Champions League, if I can find a link for it somewhere, and we take a look at all the groups, you can see, where are we looking? Where are they? Portmore United, another Jamaican side, they got through to the knockout stages as well with us. So yeah, it's been a good year for Jamaican football, really. I will start off by reviewing some of our players before we get into this last game of the season, just to kind of wrap things up. Of course, traditionally with these end-of-season live comms, I wouldn't do a game. But, well, with us wanting to get some revenge on Montego Bay, and seeing as they beat us last year in the final, I want us to show kind of what we're made of. So, kind of looking at the team as a whole, we look at goal scorers. Julian Green leading the way alongside Andre Clennon and Danny Johnson. These guys, they've all played pretty well. Of course, we have got Charlie Austin joining us for next season. A very exciting signing to get in. Whether or not that might signal the end of Julian Green and Honda, I guess remains to be seen. I feel like Honda and Julian Green, they're two good players, but for designated players, I just don't know if they've contributed enough, you know, to be a kind of two wild card players, particularly Honda with his wages. It's difficult to justify. You can see there are a few other MLS sides interested. I have offered him out to them, so he may well be a player who moves on. We are a very profitable club in terms of how we run, so this means that we do have a transfer kind of budget that is very much available for us to invest into some designated players. So if you've got any ideas and suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. But yeah, Julian Green, top goal scorer. Andre Clennon, you know, second year at the club, 27 goals he's got in 59 games. A very good player, perhaps slightly slower this year than last year. You know, last year, 16 goals, 7 assists, 5 player of the matches. He was a game changer. This year, just not quite so much. The 29-year-old is going to be getting older. Definitely a player who I perhaps need to look for a long-term replacement to. And of course, Danny Johnson doing as well, the 26-year-old, a player who has really kind of always performed well for us. This year, you can see his average rating of 7.32, absolutely superb. That does put him in the running for the MVP award in the league. That is an award that I don't believe has been dished out just yet, unfortunately. So we won't know if he wins that. There are a few other awards and such which just haven't been given out, so we won't be able to talk about them this episode. I will try and remember to kind of mention them if there are any big ones next episode, and maybe we'll take a look at the team of the season next episode as well. As you can see, if we just look at the kind of MLS final, you can see it's Orlando v Toronto. It's going to be over 2 legs. My money's on Toronto to win it again, if I'm honest, but we'll have to wait and see on that front. But anyway, those were the big goal scorers, really, those 3 guys. Kazuki Honda chipped in. Alan Otti did well as 2, you know, coming off the bench fairly frequently, got a fair few goals. If we look at the average ratings, the big performer once more this year, Ike Kapara, a player who we picked up in the expansion draft, and you can see just 2 superb years for us. He won USA Player of the Year again this year for 2018. He won it last year, and you know, he had a few injuries this year. You know, he pulled his hamstring, he gashed his head, but he came back and he played very, very well for us, the 29-year-old, and he's going to be a very difficult player to replace in the coming years. But, well, you'd have to say he's enjoying the best football of his career at the I was about to say at the Apex here at this Kingston Sprint. So that's great to see. Danny Johnson also doing well. Decoy Williams, a player who played a fair few games for us, really. Unfortunately, he did get that really critical injury where he was out for 5 months this year, and due to his age at 32, he really is just not the same player that he was when he got injured, unfortunately. McCarthy also did well at centre-back, a 7.7 average rating in the North American Champions League for him. In the league, a 7.19 average rating, nothing to be scoffed at. And Kamal Lawrence, the defence really were very good this year. If we'd had a few more goals, if we'd had a little bit more creativity in the midfield, I feel like it could have been a very, very different season for us and we could have finished a lot higher in the table. I looked at goal scorers. In terms of assisters, you can see it's kind of spread around between the likes of Danny Johnson, Julian Green and Andre Clennon. Washington Higginson definitely deserves a mention. He's been on loan at Edmonton. And he's got 20 assists in 34 games, the 22-year-old. A player who I'm looking at, I'm thinking maybe next year I need to change my system to facilitate this guy out on the right wing. He looks like a very good player. He is a player we picked up in the Super Draft. I believe he was our first pick in the first round in 2017. So the fact he's out on loan is a little bit criminal. Of course, speaking of young players who performed well, Corey Binns has done very well, the left-back. And as you can see here, he got his first international cap for Jamaica. So round of applause for Corey, setting a very good example, the 18-year-old, a player with loads of room to improve. Of course, he's going to be fighting for Kamal Lawrence's spot in the first team and in the national team. So that's something he is going to have to work hard at, I guess, if he wants to break through. But at 18, he's just got a lot of time still to improve, and regular first-team football is definitely something I've got to be offering him throughout this year. Other players who have done well, Donovan Halliman has definitely developed. 18 years old, of course, joined us at the start of the year. I mean, he's not played that much for us when we've called upon him. He's done okay, 2 clean sheets in 3 games for him, only 18 years old. Kevin Hunt, perhaps the best of our performing youngsters. He's only 19. He's definitely the best youngster in the team in terms of current ability. And yeah, he got his first international goal for Trinidad and Tobago not all that long ago as well. And well, you can see here 29 appearances he's made, and that is only going to aid his development. And well, he's on a very good contract here, whereby we're paying him $120,000 a year, which isn't cheap. But we've got him here for the next 3 years, and there is an optional contract extension for us as a club of 3 years. So it's basically a 6-year contract that we have him tied into, where his wages won't go up. So that's pretty pleasing. Kalen Hines in on loan. Didn't play that all that much really, a little bit disappointing, but a player we have got on loan until the end of next season, and definitely a player who I want to offer a few more opportunities to, I think, going into next season. Jermaine Anderson as well, club captain, definitely deserves a mention in this end of season review. You can see he's played rather well really. A 6.97 average rating in the league isn't the greatest, but in the North American Champions League he's been great for us. At 22 years old, a player who has had his fair share of injuries, out with a calf strain, a twisted knee and a twisted ankle, just a few injuries he had in the space of a few months. Been fit for the last 5 or 6 months, which is absolutely fantastic. And hopefully a player who, can stay fit now and really become embedded into our first team and be the first name on the sheet every week. But anyway, that's kind of a little squad rundown. There's a few players we brought in this year, the likes of Fernando Gomez. Who else is there we brought in? Adam May. Actually, Adam May, I don't think I ever talked about this guy, which is a little bit bad. I brought him in on a pre-contract from Portsmouth. He joined us. He's only played 3 games since he joined us in the summer. I don't know why I signed him, if I'm honest. He doesn't really add anything that our other centre mids don't offer. I guess it's just because his wages were cheap. He is in the club. If I didn't talk about him, I apologise, Adam. Other players that we've got who we brought in this year, if I can find him, Yasser Kasim, a bit of a gameplay and kind of difference maker, I guess. You saw him get that crucial free kick against Chicago Fire. Definitely the kind of player I want to be looking to pick up this summer. A player who has the ability to make an impact, doesn't necessarily need to be really young, but just has relatively low wage demands and has the desire, I guess, to come to us here in Jamaica at Kingston Sprint. But all in all, it was an okay year. I feel like the squad didn't improve massively, if I'm honest. I feel like we have a few exciting young players who I definitely want to develop. Obviously, the addition of Charlie Austin is really going to offer us something nice in the final third and hopefully a ton of goals. I'm definitely going to be looking at other players we can bring in. Of course, Charlie Austin only coming in for $7.5 million, not a massive fee. There are a few other players who I have agreed to bring in, the first of which is this guy, Adama Silla. Not going to be joining us for a number of years, so not a player to worry about just yet. Will be joining us in 15 months' time. But 17 years old from the Ivory Coast, from ASEC, a club that, if you're a long-term work, the Space Watcher, you'll be aware of. Hopefully he can turn up good for us. And another player who we've brought in, Peter Raymond, joining us for $1.1 million. A very young player, 18 years old, a regen who appeared at Birmingham. And he does have dual nationality and was born in Jamaica. So that was one of the reasons to bring him in. I think he could be a pretty useful player out on the left. You can see he's pretty well suited as a winger, really. Nice flair too, which is always a nice little add added bonus. And well, yeah, hopefully he can develop into a good little player. He's going to be joining us actually in just a few months' time for the start of next season. So definitely a player to keep an eye out on and for then. As I mentioned briefly, disappointed to get knocked out of MLS. Look at the combined table. You can see it was very, very tight at the top, but I guess disappointingly for us, there was a long period of time where we were right at the top. In fact, we were first at one point, and we just tailed off as the season went on. We struggled to string wins together, drew a lot of games, and ultimately it did cost us when it came into the league. In the North American Champions League, delighted with how well we've done there. We scraped through on goal difference ultimately against Tigres. But we go into the knockout stages. I'm hoping we can get Jacksonville or Portmore United as they're two very beatable teams. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But I'm optimistic that we can maybe do something next year in the North American Champions League. That has certainly got to be the goal. Anyway, let's get into today's last game of the season. It's against Montego Bay. As I mentioned, a team I want to get some revenge on. Jermaine Anderson is struggling a little bit with fitness, so I'm actually going to start Kevin Hunt in this game. But with the exception of him, I think we're going to just play our strongest team. Of course, this is a side who embarrassed me last season. Granted, we did have 2 sendings off. Our goalkeeper got injured, so we were actually finishing this game against Montego Bay last year with 8 men. I'm hoping that's not going to happen again this year. I feel like that would be very unlikely if that was to happen again this year, especially with our kind of goalkeeper getting injured and stuff. But, well, Football Manager is a weird game. Hopefully we can get a win. That's got to be the minimum aim. I feel like normally I might be less inclined to live-com this kind of match, but given the previous result, I feel like there's pride on the line today, and I want to try and reinstate that pride. And, well, within 15 seconds, we've got a penalty. I mean, we could score within the first kind of 40 seconds here. It's going to be Kazuki Honda, a player who I've talked about a questionable future for this guy. Can he cement a future while he scores? Whether or not that cements his future, I guess remains to be seen. It is a goal for him, and well, there is now a risk that this just turns into an absolute pounding, and I have to sit here for the next half an hour watching goals fly in. But, well, Montego Bay, not the start they would have been looking at and, well, looking for, really. The penalty given away in a matter of seconds. It was a ball punted in. I think it might have been by O'Neill, the right back. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it was Clennon who got fouled, who, to be honest, isn't the most kind of prominent of players in the air. But the defender panicked, fouled him, and, well, Honda, lovely little penalty there, slots it away. Well, the fans love it. They're having a party. And that is a very good result here. And hopefully we can now build off this here and try and get a few more goals. 5 minutes gone. O'Neill Fisher, can he whip it in this time? I'm expecting a Rabona. Kicks it straight at the first defender. Now with Yasser Kasim. To Danny Johnson. To Clennon. Options on ahead. O'Neill Fisher on the overlap. Lovely build-up play here. Can Julian Green finish it? He lays it off to Johnson. I mean, if that was a pass and not a deflected shot, that's a lovely pass by Julian Green. I have my doubts. We'll probably get a clearer idea in the 3D highlight here as to exactly what happened. But O'Neill Fisher pulled it in. It was a clearance. I didn't think Julian Green would pass it there. He's not that intelligent or a footballer. But it fell to Danny Johnson. He slots it away. And it's 2-0 here. And we're looking very good. And, well, hopefully we can just kind of keep this going now, I guess. 13 minutes gone. Could we make it 3-0? We lost to these guys on penalties last year. It was humiliating. It was terrible. I wanted to cry. It seems like the players have held a little bit of a grudge here. Kamal Lawrence, back post. Julian Green, can he pull it back across? Goes back to O'Neill Fisher. Danger not gone. Clennon, he might be offside here. I don't think he is, though. It's 3-0. We could be here a little while. I was hoping this would be a relatively short episode. But it's 3-0 after 13 minutes. I guess we could try and score 3 goals every 14 minutes for the rest of the game. We could win this game 18-0. Should we go for that? Maybe that's the aim here. Maybe I'll have to start turning off 3D highlights. I accidentally dropped the name Apex, of course, in reference to Gibraltar Apex earlier on in the episode. I am getting slight flashbacks to some of the games I had to play when I was Gibraltar Apex manager, where you'd sit for some games would take half an hour. That's how many highlights there were. I think there was a game that finished like 16-0 at one point, and it had over like 30 clear-cut chances. It was ridiculous. I think that game may have lasted half an hour or more. Which I feel like people, when I told people, oh, I've installed an instant result button for that save specifically, I don't feel like they were that angry really, because it would have taken a little while. And while we should have been another goal to the good here, I will say, Football Manager is the kind of game now where we've got a 3-goal lead. We won't have any more highlights for the rest of the half. Unfortunately, it's not going to go like that, as Marsh is now coming forward with it. Can we deal with this? I mean, if they score now, do I panic? I thought we might have fouled the player then, but it doesn't seem like that is the case. Can Clennon win it? Nodded forward. Yasser Kasim mops up. Now with Opara. And, well, that was the highlight there. It was actually a clear-cut chance for Montego Bay from that cross. They couldn't make anything happen. And, well, what I said about the fact that you can start off really strong and then the game fizzles out, that may well be happening here because it's going to be 3-0 at half-time. I mean, it's a great result, I guess, really. I can't argue with it. I feel like it's the result I expected last year and we didn't get, so I'm kind of relieved we're getting it with the camera pointing in our direction. I felt like I had to record this episode, you know, I had to include this game. I felt compelled to after, well, the mental game that came kind of last time these two sides met in this competition. And, well, we scored within 40 seconds of the first half. We've scored within 26 seconds of the second half. It's Honda with the goal. Andre Clennon lays it out wide to Kamar Lawrence. He pulls it back across. And Honda, he scores again. If this is going to be Honda's last ever game, he's doing it, you know, by scoring a few goals. It's a little bit of a cheeky celebration as he strikes a pose. But, well, 4-0 here. And you'd have to say we're probably worth that 4-0 lead as well. We've been dominant in this game. Montego Bay, you know, they've had a few chances. Only mustered up the one shot on target. We've been very clinical with the chances that have come our way. We're going to make some changes to end this game. I'm going to bring in Otti, I think, for Julian Green, who's been pretty disappointing all in all. We'll take off Kevin Hunt as well and bring in Jermaine Anderson, the captain. And I think I'm going to bring on Ricardo Morris for Danny Johnson just to get some fresh legs in the midfield. Not that it's entirely necessary, but it's good to rotate the team around, give a few players who perhaps deserve a little bit more first-team football, particularly those Jamaican players who have been at the club a few years now. Just an opportunity to play in this cup final. Anyway, the ball cleared here, only as far as Marsh. I mean, it's 4-0. I feel like even if they score now, they're not going to come back, I hope. Well, it's Frater here, edge of the box. Kamar Lawrence, lovely little tackle. Only as far as St. Fleur, though. And they build from the back again. I mean, I am a little bit nervous here that we concede. I'd like a clean sheet. I feel like even if they score, we shouldn't be at risk. But clean sheets are nice, aren't they? You know, you especially in this kind of game, you almost expect a clean sheet. And, well, that shot, if it had been better kind of placed and goalwards, it may well have caused us some problems. I feel like Andre Blake's had a little bit of a boring afternoon here. He's not had a whole lot to do, the goalkeeper. Of course, if you've been following real-world football, you would have seen David Villa's goal against Andre Blake. But over the last few weeks, it was from the halfway line, if you haven't seen it. It was a bit embarrassing for old Andre, but fortunately for us, we've not had any faults quite that big yet. I say yet, I mean, it could still happen as the ball comes into the box and he does go wandering. I feel like I've jinxed him there. I can't help but feel like I've jinxed Andre Blake. I've mentioned some mistakes he's made in real life. This time, well, he starts chasing the ball. Where are you going, Andre? Like, what do you think's happening? What does he think's happening? Answers on a postcard. I don't know. I don't think he knows either. Fortunately, 2 minutes left. I mean, strange things have happened in Football Manager. I can't see 3 goals in 2 minutes. I definitely can't see 3 goals in the space of 8 seconds. So we are going to win this game here. It's an okay result. It's not a fantastic result, really. I would have liked the clean sheet. But a win is a win. This is a competition that we should have won last year. We missed out on it. And I guess I just have to tell the boys I'm fairly happy. It's a nice way to end the season on a high, albeit with I don't want to call it a Mickey Mouse trophy, but certainly a trophy that we do expect to win. We do celebrate the double. Of course, we won the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship previously. We do get some money. I mean, look at that. We're rolling in the money now. £7,000 given to us. Exactly what we wanted. And, well, it's good to add a little bit of silverware, I guess, to the Kingston Sprint trophy closet because we've won a few things here and there. We came third place in the Supporters' Shield last year. You know, we've won the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship twice. We came runner-up in the JFF Champions Cup. We won it the year before. Of course, last year, it's got to be remembered, we came runner-up in the Eastern Conference. So the fact that we finished as far down the pecking order as we did this year, you know, it kind of perhaps shows a few signs of regression, which I'm hoping to stamp out, obviously, going into next season. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up everything from me for today's video. If you did enjoy, as always, please do leave a like. Let me know, do you think I should do these kind of JFF Champions Cup finals as part of the last game of each episode or of each season, or do you feel like it's something that could be missed out on? I'd be intrigued to know your thoughts on it. But anyway, guys, that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for watching. As always, it is me, Jack. I will see you guys in the next one. And other than that, I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.